Hello, everyone. This is Caleb Warnock, and it is almost midnight. It's very naughty, I suppose, of me to be filming at midnight, but I had a little nap. I've been working in the garden all day because a storm has moved in, and we actually had okay weather. We got up into the mid 50s today. And as I was working in the garden today, I noticed these. These are some leaves off of one of my gooseberry bushes, and I thought that is such a beautiful color of red. We've got to try to do something with that. So let's do it. Um, I'm going to, one thing about gooseberry leaves is that they're a little waxy. Gooseberries and currants are always a little waxy on the leaves. So it is going to be a little harder than normal, probably, to mull these. I'm going to remove the stem because that's not going to help. And then I'm going to just rip this up and then pull it into pieces. And now I have a little pile of pieces. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drops of water. I am going to put a little bit of ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C powder, and I'm going to put a little bit of citric acid because when you're doing a red color, citric acid almost always helps that color to be stronger. So I have added those two things. Here is my glass molar, and as I said, this is probably not going to be the easiest thing to mull. I'm just going to try and crush and grind. And normally we would have some paint starting to come out already. Our paint would be, anyway, it's just barely starting to come out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Don't know if you can see that. There's a little blush of pink starting to appear on the molar slab. When I am doing these leaves that are harder to mold, I think it's important to remember that the goal is not to like grind too hard because this is a glass molar and a glass slab, and I have never broken a molar or a slab, but I would imagine that it is possible to break it. So just want to be cautious. So I've got a pile of red paint here. I could work on this until there was absolutely no leaf matter. Everything is ground away, but I don't see the point of that. And even when I'm not filming, I don't see the point of that. So that's not really something that I'm gonna, I just want a little paint out of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, also, while I was outside working today, I thought while I was grabbing the leaves of this gooseberry bush, which these leaves are not normally this red color, by the way. They're just red because it is November. It is the week of Thanksgiving, and that's why they're the red color. And even as I grabbed them to try and start, I wanted to just pull some off and take them in the house, and they just sort of collapsed off of the bush. So they are definitely going, they're falling. And they're probably out there right this minute, even though it's midnight. They're probably out there falling as we speak because the storm has moved in and there's a lot of wind outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background or not, but there is a storm raging outside, and it is supposed to go well into tomorrow as well. What I am doing is taking some of this gooseberry leaf paint and I'm brushing it onto the back um the veiny side of this blackberry leaf because Blackberries always give a really good print. I shouldn't jinx us by saying that. Okay, and we'll just put this on here. And normally at this point, I would use a little piece of scratch paper, but I don't think I have a little piece of scratch paper. Let me put you guys on pause. Okay, so here's a drawing from one of the grandkids that I found behind some furniture. It's probably several years old, so we can use this, I guess. I don't even know what grandchild did this. We have 13 grandkids, I don't know. So I'm just pressing that down. And the reason we want to use scratch paper is so that when we have this extra liquid coming out, we want that to be picked up by the scratch paper instead of smeared on the art paper. And there is our leaf print. I think that's a really good leaf print. It was a little too wet. Um, you can see that it did bleed out a little bit. So let's try it one more time. Let's try it one more time. And we'll try to paint it a little more dryly. That always doesn't feel like good English syntax and grammar, but it is what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't want this to be too wet. I ordered a new set of brushes today for a future sit down with you guys because I was watching a tutorial online of one of the watercolor YouTube channels that I follow. And they had these amazing brushes that I had never seen before. And I won't give it away, but they are specifically for doing something that I have never seen done before with watercolor. And I was pretty amazed. Not something I would normally do, this technique. So look forward to that. That's coming. All right, so I've tried to brush some of this off of here, and we'll see how we do. So I'm just setting that leaf right there. And I don't want to drag this on there, so I'm just going to fold it and put a new clean corner of this. Give it a good pressing, and there's no bleeding. So we're gonna have a good print here. Ta-da! Look at that, that's great. Oh, also this afternoon, I should say, I ordered a new camera. Um, because I don't know. I just wonder if this camera has a high enough resolution, so I ordered a new camera. So I guess we'll see how that goes. It'll be arriving sometime next week. Okay, I'm taking this leaf and I'm adding 2 more drops of water, and I'm going to remull it. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of this leaf in here just so that we get good pigment because I want to use a different mordant to change the color. And oftentimes, if you can, um, if you can use citric acid or ascorbic to get red, and in this case we've been doing both of them together, and I do like the way that this has turned out, then oftentimes, if that is the case, it'll be possible to use baking soda to turn the color to green. So I'm just putting a little baking soda, and you probably can't see this on the camera, but it is fizzing and foaming. And so I'm going to mull this with the baking soda. And what the baking soda is doing is raising the pH because baking soda, citric acid is 3 on the pH scale, and um, citric acid is 3 on the pH scale, and baking soda is 9 on the pH scale. So that is raising the pH, which is in turn changing the color. That's the job of a mordant. When you add these natural chemicals, that we call them mordants. We don't call them. The French, the French have been doing this. Lots of people have been doing this, but the French, I think, are the ones that came up with that term. Okay, so we're going to take some of this green paint and brush it on here. And I don't want to be too heavy-handed with the green paint because I don't want it to come out the edges. I don't want it to smear. I don't want it to bleed. And these leaves are kind of soaking this back up, so I'm hoping that we even have enough paint here. I may have to add a drop of water. Okay, and now that I've brushed it on, the paint on, I'm going to try to brush some of it back off so that we don't have too much. And we'll put that right there. Use a clean spot on this scratch paper. Give it a really good press. And no bleeding around the edges, which is a really good sign. And ta-da! We've got a green leaf print. I don't believe that these are going to do any other color. But there is another technique that we may be able to do. And that is, I just happen to, I've done a lot of prints with blackberry leaves because they make such good, distinct, clear prints. Many leaves do not make good, distinct, clear prints, but blackberry leaves always do. This is, and I have never done this before. I have done this with a spoon, and maybe I should go get a spoon, but this is a brayer. And I'm wondering if we have something sort of hard to put underneath here, but I can't think of anything. I guess we could, if we wanted to, we could just put this under the glass slab like this. Well, I'm being innovative now. I don't know if you guys can still see that on the camera. Hopefully you can. And I'll put this leaf over here with no paint on it at all. And I'm just going to brayer this carefully. And with any luck, it's going to make a leaf print. And it may not make a leaf print, but if we add some iron water to it, or some copper, and I have copper water here. Okay, so I've crushed that into there. I can't see anything from it, but I can't, even if I'm looking at the paper, sorry, I'm getting my hair in the way of the camera. This is copper water. It only has the tiniest, oh, this brush was not totally clean. Let's see if I can create a leaf by brushing that copper water on there. And I would say that that has done nothing. So let's try. I'm just going to take a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of iron. In this case, I'm using ferrous sulfate, although it would work with any form of iron. And I put 1 drop of water in that. Let's put 1 more drop of water. Mold the iron into the water, just so that it is totally mixed together. See, I wasn't planning on doing this. This is what happens when you try to do things that you didn't plan on doing, that you do spontaneously, and then all of a sudden maybe it's not working. Okay, now I'm putting that over the top of the copper. The copper was turning it green. Now let's try to press the leaf again. We'll just press the leaf right into there. And maybe instead of the brayer, I will just use the molar. I have to be very careful because other one, right, maybe we can't use the molar because it ripped the leaf a little bit. What I normally use is a spoon, just the back of a spoon to do this. So I guess I'm going to have to go get a spoon. Okay, now there is a leaf print, but it's pretty faint. A pretty faint leaf print. I'm gonna go grab a spoon. It is the last week of November here, and so this may not be printing as well as I had hoped. Maybe because the leaves are kind of dry. I was thinking about this. Like, why isn't this? Normally it works a little better than this, but it has been quite dry outside. I'm just gonna rub this leaf in the remains of that iron water, and I'm going to put this right here. And if I was a good camera person, I would kind of slide this to where you guys can see it. I keep a sheet of white paper under here so it would be easier for you guys to see under the camera, but now it's getting all mushed up. So I'm just using the back of the spoon to press this. I'm trying not to move the leaf because that will give us double and triple images. And there is our leaf print. And this should go a little darker as as it develops here. I'm gonna also just put a little copper on here because I think that will turn it green as well. We'll see. Copper water, I'll have to teach you guys in another video how to make copper water. It's not hard. It's homemade copper water. It's not hard to make, but it does require a little process of instruction. Okay, I feel like we should just do that one more time. Where is, let's get the iron back out. Just a tiny, 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 like 1/100th of a quarter teaspoon, maybe. It's so little. And I'm gonna put just a couple drops of water on there. I'm gonna mold that together. Oops, there's a, what is that, a marigold petal? Looks like a marigold petal that I picked up somewhere. Okay, so now I've molded that together so that this water is now iron water. I'll make a little puddle of that iron water. And then I'm going to dampen this leaf in the water. I'm putting it with the vein side down. In other words, the back of the leaf is down because that's the side we'll be printing because that's the side that gives the best showing. And then I'm going to carefully press this. I'm pressing from the vein out. I'm trying to be a little more careful than I was on that one. And holding it with my other finger of my other hand so that I don't allow it to move around like that and smear. Okay. And there's our leaf print. Not as good as these. I mean, these two are really good leaf prints. Not as good as those, unfortunately, but still a leaf print. I'm just putting a little more iron water over the top of this to see if it will develop those ridges a little better. And then we can take this out from underneath here, and there's a blackberry leaf stuck under there. And there we go. I think these two were the most successful. And this one has some good veining developing. This one was pretty much a disaster, so don't do that. But I like those. Those turned out really well. Before we end this little video, why don't we try to print one of these Oops. Oh no. I'm rinsing my brush in my copper water. They're both in the same size little jar. I guess this is what happens when you film at midnight, when you should be in bed asleep. Oh dear, friends. But I don't know, I just wanted to get a video in today because I'm sore and I'm tired. I've been working out in the garden and it's just a relaxing thing to do at the end of the day is to do some watercolor. Oh, this leaf is so waxy. It may not work, everyone, just because this leaf is so waxy that it is almost not holding onto any of the paint at all. The paint just slides off of it. But let's try it. Where can we put this? Let's put it right here. Press, I'm pressing with my fingers. I could also press with the spoon like this. I'm using the back of the spoon. Oh, well, that actually turned out better than I thought it was going to. It must have had more paint on there than I thought. So anyway, that was another good one, a gooseberry leaf. So just ignore the ones that are ugly on here and look at the ones that are good. And how fun to print leaves using paint made out of leaves. I just think that's really fun. I hope that wherever you guys are watching from around the world, that you are having a good day. You're having a good autumn, or whenever you're watching this video, I hope that you have sufficient for your needs. I hope that, the everyone globally, I think the world seems to be in a bad mood. A lot of people, the whole earth, at least that's how it's sometimes depicted. And so I hope that you and I are not in a bad mood and that peacemakers will rise up and those places that are full of sadness and horror will, that we can find ways for resolutions for those things. And, there's not a lot that you and I can do individually, personally about that, except just to try to increase the amount of peace and calm and relaxation and care for one another in our local sphere. And so I hope that that's what we all do. And I think this is one way to do that, is just to be closer to Mother Earth and work with her. This is one way that she provides us with we can use what she has to offer us. I hope that's not too frou-frou of me to say all that, but I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Have a great evening or whatever time you're watching this, and I will see you on this channel next time. Oh, as the youth say, like and subscribe if you want the algorithm to encourage other people to check this channel out, then please hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. Thanks. Bye.